those moments when it's just like, oh yeah, I just dove and caught that thing.
Yeah.
You're like there's trees coming down around you sometimes, and you got to be like smart as well, safe as well.
Safe, yeah.
But then you're like, there's dust kind of flowing everywhere. There's this animal flying that way. There's diggers over there. There's birds squawking, and you just run and you dive on that sucker.
Bit of communication breakdown. There was a spotter catcher who was in the middle of the tomb machine, checking a tree. Communication breakdown. Dozer pushes a tree, and this tree actually fully just fell on this bloke.
Welcome to the Big Small Podcast, where I speak to adventurers, advocates, and authorities in nature, and we talk about the small things in life's big picture. I'm your host, Jaden Lunt, and in this episode, we are going to be hearing some stories and tips from an on-the-ground fauna spotter trainer, who himself is a fauna spotter. He has a great appreciation for nature and wants to help others grow that love just that little bit more for nature as well. So please welcome to the show my guest, John Bolton. John, welcome to the podcast, man. It's good to have you. How are you going?
Thanks for having me, mate.
Today?
Mate, I'm good today. I'm excited to be here, never been on a podcast before, interested in talking to someone like yourself. Keen to be here. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. Now, John, you're a fauna spotter.
I am.
Fauna spotting, to you, what does it mean to be a fauna spotter?
To me, it's basically, it's a job where you want to mitigate the risk to wildlife from development. So It's basically, you're there, you're present, you're catching the animals, you're relocating the animals. Habitat assessments often come into play. I guess really, like, without going into the whole technical side of things, really it is being there to help the animals from development.
100%. 100%. And you've been a fauna spotter now for 4 years.
4 years, mate,
And so you started before that, as we were saying just before the show, that you did a degree. What was this degree that you did?
It was basically a mix of environmental science and management with a capstone in ecology.
Right on, okay.
I've always been interested in nature. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Decided to get into, university. Was looking at certain jobs for the future. There was one that popped up, ecologist for me. Sort of species related consulting. There's plenty of other jobs out there with environmental consulting. A lot of the other sciences come into play, soils, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, thank goodness I don't have to do soil in this job. It's a big thing.
Yeah, it is a huge thing, and it's important, but it would never really grip me like wildlife did. So for me, with species-related consulting, that really drew me in, So I was looking at, potential ecologist work in the future, and then basically I heard about spotter catching, and I was like, oh, what's this, what is this kind of thing? And it was basically hands-on wildlife work in the, environmental industry, and I was like, that's something I want to do, because I love wildlife, like, if I can get paid to catch these things and be straight, sort of hands-on with them and actually really, really enjoy, the moment. Like, there's times at work I can't believe I'm getting paid, man. There's times when I am bored. With spotter catching, you're monitoring the clearing and it can be boring. But, mate, there's times when, I've got, some beautiful monitor lizard or, I've got some baby phascogales.
Real?
Yeah,
nice.
Something like that. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting paid right now.
Yeah, phascogales. I've never seen baby phascogales. I've seen them brush-tailed phascogales. The first time I saw one, it was actually down here. And I did not know we had those in. I was like, that looks like a freaking squirrel. What is this? And I told one of our old friends, it was quite a. Funny thing. But anyway, baby phascogales. You found some of those? Yeah.
So baby phascogales. Found a mother. Sort of was inspecting a hollow. They had felled the tree. Mother took off. Just actually managed to catch her. They are quick. I was pretty proud of myself, man, because they are agile. They're bam, 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 bam. efficient predators. So it was running off, managed to do a dive. You've probably done a couple of dives.
Those moments when it's just like, oh yeah, I just dove and caught that thing.
Yeah.
You're like there's trees coming down around you sometimes, and you got to be like smart as well, safe as well.
Safe, yeah.
But then you're like, there's dust kind of flowing everywhere. There's this animal flying that way. There's diggers over there. There's birds squawking, and you're just running in. And you dive on that sucker.
And you'll probably notice, like with everything else going on, when you're chasing after that animal for the dive, like your focus is locked. For me, that's what it is. It's like bang, like it's almost primal. Like you just run after it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so got the mum, bagged her, came back to check the hollow.
Yeah.
And there was a big group of babies in there, and they weren't pink, they were out of the pouch kind of thing. They were just in the hollow, remaining, furred, but still with mum. But that was a cool experience. I love my Dazzy Urids, my carnivorous marsupials.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh frick. Then you got the Antechinus, and then there's another small carnivorous marsupial that I can't remember of, but they're really cool to find because it's not a mouse. With them buck teeth, it's a mouse with actual bite your finger off sort of thing.
Yeah,
I
they
do
got
love
some
it.
Sharp teeth, man.
Dunner, is that the one? That's another one.
Dunner.
They got the thicker tails. Right?
Yeah. There's a few species, but there is the thick-tailed Dunner. Yep.
Right. Okay, that would be why. So it's just one of the many species.
So
fauna spotting. You've been doing this 4 years. You're also one of the trainers, sort of thing, within the company when people come in. What is some of the things that you see in new people that you think help them, but also some of the things that they should be doing or thinking instead of when they come into the gig?
So basically, when they come into the job, if I see passion in them, I'm like, okay, that's good.
Good start.
This person's going to learn.
Yeah.
Often when you get the new people, like there's a lot going on. There's trees falling. There's seeing dozers moving. There's hopefully there's animals to catch because it helps train them. Good practice.
Catching bark.
Yeah. Basically you want to you see a bit of nervousness in them, which is natural. Something new. And you kind of just it's not with everyone, but you just kind of talk to them and just be like, it's okay. Yes, there's trees coming down. It can be daunting. Most people switch on pretty quick. When it comes to the animal side of things, everyone's usually very interested.
Yes.
They want to catch what's there. So basically running in, making sure they're safe. Safety's a big one. When I'm watching them, one thing I go through for a long time is safety. And then I basically go through the species ID. I say, like, you're not going to be able to ID everything off the bat. If you need help, there's these apps, there's these books. You can text Brian or, anyone, even me if they need a hand with ID. So basically it's pretty much, safety, going through the general species, like the general process of the job.
SOPs as well.
SOPs, got to go through all that.
I remember those. I still do them.
There's a lot of them.
Yes, there is, They're very helpful, the SOPs. I was thinking about yesterday, even though, because I've come in through, because what we touched on lightly beforehand was the kind of bridging that gap between theoretical knowledge in your head in comparison to the practical knowledge. Now, I kind of came in from that practical side. Obviously, I had some of that theoretical knowledge and knowledge in my head from personal experience and study, but nothing super official. So I got in through the experience side, and I don't even know where I was going. There was you said mice catching.
Oh yeah, so
knowledge.
Catching,
knowledge. Yeah, that's
and
right.
passion. Like seeing passion in people. That's a great thing.
And we're talking about how you had SOPs. That's right. So the SOPs were actually super helpful. Just to have with lacking some maybe small components, the SOPs filled it in. So they're actually extremely helpful.
They are.
Although, like, initially I was like, oh, really? SOPs? That's like writing, I'm here to catch the animals.
Yeah.
But it actually is super helpful because then you know how to catch it correctly, and then you can approach situations professionally and not have to I guess, deal with the backlash of not reading something, messing up, and then be like, okay, what if you read that? You could have done it.
And
so they're actually helpful.
Which is very, likely in this sort of work, because a lot of it is impulse based.
Yeah, and we had a guy, there was a fauna spotter that got knocked out by a tree. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
that was.
Yep, she had a hanger. They call them hangers.
Yeah.
Explain
hangers.
Okay. So with hangers, you got trees falling everywhere around you. Tree could brush up on another tree.
Yep.
It's got a branch just hanging there.
Yep.
Another tree comes down. You come in to check a habitat feature. Hanging branch.
Yep.
Drop.
Yep.
Fall on your head.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. So was that what happened with this one? Because there was a recent one where someone actually got crushed.
Yes. I know a little bit about this. So it actually happened up the road. So I was on a job. This happened up the road. Apparently there were two machines. There were, bit of communication breakdown. There was a spotter catcher who was in the middle of the two machine, checking a tree, communication breakdown. Dozer pushes a tree, and this tree actually fully just fell on this bloke.
Yeah.
He didn't die.
Yeah, initially I thought he did.
I was told he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So rumours spread around, but apparently he was quite close to dying.
Yeah, 100%.
He was blue when they found him.
Yeah. And he's got spinal damage now, long term, which is unfortunate. So I guess communication is super important. But then also, having two diggers also, because I believe you're meant to have one spotter per digger.
Yes.
And so, that's potential. I don't know if that dig was part of the clearing or whatnot. Likely was. But knowing those smaller facts as well for the fauna spotter, because then they can call it out. Because I know that one of my first jobs, it would have been really helpful having a guy like you on, because you can point out what's right and what's wrong. But
I try to.
Yeah. I had a job. I think it was the first major job I did, and I had 3 diggers just to me.
What?
Yeah, 3 diggers just on me.
Mate.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And I went through, marked a bunch of trees. I came back around the corner, and most, I think all, so 80% of the trees that I had marked were knocked down without me being there. And this is all me learning on the job. I didn't know you weren't allowed to have 3. I was just like, I'm doing my job. I'm here to protect wildlife. That's my goal. Yeah. But then there's the side stuff you don't know about. So having someone to teach you is super beneficial.
But mate, in saying that, one of the best things with spotter catching is you do learn in the deep end a bit.
100%.
So
which is 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So you probably learnt there
a lot.
then and there a lot.
100%.
And even just your eye movements would have been starting to adjust to proper spotter catching at that stage, because you would have been looking everywhere.
So fast. I was moving so fast.
Yeah, mate. With me, when they're clearing koala habitat with dozers, my eyes are just because they're hard to spot, especially when it's hot. They go into dense cover. Yeah. So you got to run your eyes up each branch. You got to go different angles, all that kind of thing. And then these dozers are just pushing these trees, and a koala comes down. Everyone points finger at us. The whole construction company's like, why did this happen? And the clearers want to get it down. So in those situations, mate, as you know, you probably learn a bit. Even though they were doing the wrong thing there, it was pushing. You were probably just thrown in the deep end, and that's why you've developed, in that sense. So.
And our people were on top of that. And when I explained it to our crew, they were like, okay, well, they brought it forward to the other people. They didn't just let it slide. So that which is really good. There's no sliding under the mat as such, or brushing under the mat, whatever that saying is. Fauna spotting, you've gone from fauna spotting straight from learning, doing this degree. How long was this degree for?
It was about 4 years.
4 years of degree, right on. 4 years now fauna spotting, right on.
Yeah.
So 8 years in total, I guess, of those two.
8 years in total, and I'll tell you what, I learnt a hell of a lot more at spotter catching than my degree. Yeah, right on. So much more, mate. Working hands-on with the animals, so I'm a pretty practical person in the sense that I will learn from experience. So, when I've got these animals, I'm looking at the adaptations, I'm looking at the features, how does it tick, all that kind of thing. So that's where I'm coming from in terms of my learning, as opposed to being on a computer hitting keys. Species ID and working with certain individuals, mate. like I was out on the gas and I was working with some very experienced, older than me, knowledgeable people. You know, one was a herpetologist, Chris Hay. I
freaking love that guy.
He is a great dude, mate. I learnt heaps off him.
Yeah.
Dan Bromley, he's another big wildlife.
Yeah, you worked with him too. I met that guy. I used to work with him as well.
Yeah, man. Beck Ferris as well. She works for QFC. She's quite up there.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I was like new. You know, I was sort of fresh out of uni. I'd done a little bit of spotter catching before that, just like odd jobs here and there. And then that was like when I was first like into the zone. And yeah, mate. So like learning off other people, big thing. Learning on the job. And just delving into your passions, just diving in there and kind of just ripping through what you're experiencing, man.
Yeah.
Like that's how I learn.
I love that. Yeah, you don't get in trouble for taking down like removing logs and rocks and stuff. Like you don't get in trouble. Oh my gosh, amount of times I've gotten in trouble when I was a kid because I didn't understand those rules.
Everyone's like, don't ruin the habitat.
Yeah,
but
I'm
we're paid to go through and just like, what can I find?
Exactly. I don't have to worry about people complaining about me taking bark off trees or anything because like the tree's going to be no tree in like 2 days. So. I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah.
What would you say is like you said your Fascagale, brushtail Fascagale, that was a big catch for you.
The babies, that was definitely cool.
Was there any other high point catch that you've had or challenging catch that you learnt something in the process of how you approach the situation?
Yeah.
Diggers, trees, uneven ground. Hollows, rocks, wood piles. Was there any kind of pinpoint situation?
Yeah, so based on like what you just said with the different habitat features, that definitely was a big call for me in terms of what I might find. You know, you start to, when they're dismantling these habitat features, you're definitely starting to think like what could be there. But in terms of like big catches, big learning curve catches, one was a lace monitor. Yeah, big lace monitor.
Nice. On the one on your Instagram?
No, it was a different one.
Another big fella, right on.
Yeah. So this lace monitor was running away, went up a tree. I was like, okay, got to catch this guy. Ran up to him, got him by the tail, was pulling him off the tree. You know, you get him off the tree, you pin him behind the head. This lace monitor was angry, mate. It was extremely angry. Grabbed it. It was just hissing. It was, you know, like it was mad. Pulling it off, lunges at my face. About that close. So that was a close call. That's what I learnt. Like, okay, you got to really keep your wits about you.
Right on. So you said you let him go behind the head.
Oh no, I had him by the tail, and he was running up the tree.
Yeah.
So I was going to pull him off so I could get him behind the head.
So it was in between that tree and grabbing him behind the head.
In that moment.
Okay.
So pulling him off, lunge.
Yeah, straight up,
straight to the face.
Straight.
Close call.
Straight up, bro.
Teeth like razors.
Yeah, 100%.
Anticoagulant venom.
Yeah.
You know it would have messed me up.
Straight up, yeah.
Exciting though.
You know, like, right, what a pump.
My blood was rushing after that, mate. Like I was like, woo.
Yeah,
but
I fully get that.
It was definitely like a close call. Like keep your wits about you, pulling them off the trees. That was a learning curve. Other catches. First venomous snake was definitely an important thing for me. I did my venomous snake handling course out of uni. Really appreciated them. The appreciation just started like quite strongly there, mate. Like always appreciated wildlife when I was younger, but then actually working hands-on with venomous snakes, I was like, these things are wicked. Yeah. Like, you know, they are amazing animals, you know, like they get this bad rap from everyone that they're
straight up, right?
That they're out to get you and like they're demonized and everything, but they're really not. They're just an animal living their life just in the ecosystem. They have a ecological purpose, you know, all that kind of thing. They're like helping with population control of certain species, you know. They're out there, they're not these wicked things.
No, like whenever, because I'm a snake catcher, I have a lot of people that are like, oh, I was going to kill it. If you didn't catch it, I was going to get a shovel. See those tools there? That was going to be for the snakes if you didn't catch it. I was like, or my wife stopped me. I was going to kill it. And I'm like, you're such a tough man.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me, you know? You're real tough when you're trying to kill something that's literally lower than your ankle. But anyway, I always bring forwards the keelback. The keelback is my best example snake because that eats toads. So I kind of use a trail of to make them kind of double think about what they're thinking, and then maybe they might feel bad also. So it's almost a guilt trip.
Yeah.
So like the keelback, they eat the toads, the cane toads. They kill other native wildlife by eating it, or when the native wildlife eats that dies. So what you're saying is, if you kill that snake which eats the cane toads, you're then okay with native wildlife dying. So it's kind of like it's a bit of a guilt trip, but it's so that they can realize it, because in the moment it's like snake hate, and so when we're very hateful to something, I feel we need to have more of a stronger example to really make us rethink what we first believed to be true. In that situation, at least.
Yeah, and it's hard because, like, for so long they've been demonized, and for where I try and be understanding is like, okay, you're in the middle of nowhere, you're a farmer. You put your hand under, a piece of tin to get some wood out, you get hit by a brown, you're a long way away. So I get why people don't like them, but, snakes only bite from fear or defense.
Yes.
So, food or defense.
Yes.
So like, awareness, huge thing. And like even things like your browns, they'll keep your mice down, your rats down, that sort of thing. And they're part of the ecosystem. They're food for other animals. A lot of animals will eat snakes. Monitor lizards will eat snakes. Birds of prey. When snakes are babies, so many things eat them. Yeah. So they're actually, helping with the ecosystem, and we need healthy ecosystems to survive.
They are important.
So they're an important role, and not to mention the medicines coming out of venom. Absolutely amazing that the medicines coming out.
Right, I hear there's a bit of. Do you know much of?
I know a little bit about it, so not much, but I know a little bit. So basically, they're trialing coagulants found in brown snake venom to stop you bleeding out during surgery. Yeah. There's a drug called Captopril or something like that. It's like a blood thinner, or I'm not exactly sure what the drug is, but they've been derived from snake toxins, and these sort of venoms found through these snakes have huge economic, benefits,
potential, right?
And potential. So when you're trying to talk to people about like, wildlife conservation, and all they're thinking about is like, all I care about is money. That's a point you can hit them with.
Yeah, okay,
you can be like, all right, well, we've got these snakes here, mate, and like, they're making heaps of money off these medications, and like there could be some property in some venom where like, who knows, it could help with cancer treatment. Like who knows, mate?
Right.
So like when you look at like conservation of snakes, it's like bang ecological, bang economical, and why are these people kind of like just kill them all?
Yeah,
and then even bites. So shovel, you get hit.
Yeah,
that snake's going to get defensive, man.
Yeah, 100%. Like you can still get bitten when it's with a decapitated snake.
Yeah,
I had to. We'll leave that one alone. But I can see I've had experiences where that is been proven true. Snake venom. There's a guy, Chris. He's one of the guys that I want to get on the show. Great guy. I used to work. I was doing reptile demonstrations before this gig.
You'd be good at that.
I loved it. And I worked with him. So that's where I got actually how I got into this company as well. Through part way through to him. Now with this whole wildlife at the end, where you are now. Yeah. You loved wildlife from when you were a kid, young guy. Was there any kind of pinnacle moments or big catches? Were you into catching wildlife when you were younger? Because before you're 18, so legally people can't hold you accountable. So that's what I say. That's what I tell myself. So were there any big catches like when you were younger that were really kind of interested, increased that interest? Or were you more of a sit back, watch and observe what's happening sort of guy?
Yeah, as a kid, I was definitely outdoors a lot. I was pretty full on. But I wasn't really catching much as a kid. Yep. Catch skinks and the odd mouse and that's just little stuff. Yep. I never really went out of my way to go catching stuff as a kid. Yeah. A lot of it was appreciation from a distance.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
Now that I've sort of been bitten by that catching bug, it's not going away. I'll be an old man catching stuff probably.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The rush is good.
Yeah. And just being up close, like even even with something that's, you know, not as much of an adrenaline hit, but something that's just an interesting life form, you know, a really nice frog, colourful frog.
Yeah, frick, even moss interests me.
Yeah. Or like, you know, little native rodent, you know, you just, being up close and personal with it's big, you know, just for me anyway. And
it's
I'm
fascination.
sure it's for you. It's fascination.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Was there anyone that in your family that was into wildlife that you that maybe encouraged that wildlife passion, or is it just being a kid, everything around us is amazing, and you're just one of the kids that really liked wildlife?
Well, like as a kid, I was definitely, nature just drew me in, and like I was always a bit of a deep thinker in the sense of like, you know, if I'm not looking at something, is it really there? You know, like, you know, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like nature was, big thing for me. My mum was pretty into wildlife and nature. You know, she still is. We used to go on, you know, a lot of holidays to like national parks and all that kind of thing as a kid. And I was pretty locked in there. She doesn't like that I'm into reptiles, but like...
Mum don't like it either. The only reason I got snakes is because it's in here.
Yeah. But like, so I'd say, family member, close family member. Yeah, my mum probably was a bit of that. Yeah. But I think my passion sort of...
Semi-self-sustained.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Did you ever watch like, when you were younger, Steve-O and Rob Brettle, who else? All those show people that had the wildlife. Was that something? Did you have the TV that used to watch that stuff on? You have the DVDs, or even video, not cassettes, but the black boxes. What do you call
VHS?
VHS. The VHS. Did you ever have stuff like that?
I didn't own any of his copies, but man, when Steve Owen was on, I was always watching it. I was just like, this guy, like, you know, he shared his passion with the world. Like, he brought you in like a whole new way. Like, you could really see in his eyes and in his just whole demeanor, like how into these animals he was. And like, he did the very best he could to bring everyone else in, you know. That camera would just be with him and he'd just, boom, you know. So I was a big fan of Steve, man.
Yeah. And how do you think, what was some of what did he do that really brought the experience to you through the camera? What do you think was that? If it can really be broken down,
like what he did that was just like
what spoke to you with his
passion. That was, I think that's what locked me in. Like, it was kind of and knowledge too, you know. Like, I was a kid when I was watching him mostly, so I probably didn't learn as much as I would now that I'm older. But like, just he'd deliver information, and his just like vibe would just be like, it would lock me in.
Highlight. Okay, right on. I follow. So did you do any other wildlife gigs before this Fauna Spotting, or this is the first one?
So at uni, no, didn't really do any wild... when you say gigs, do you mean like jobs to do with wildlife? No. Fauna Spotting was my first wildlife thing. I did a bit of volunteering, but that was more environmental volunteering. Wasn't specific to wildlife in itself.
Was that like the planting of trees, stuff like that?
Yeah, a bit of tree planting, bit of cleanup.
Yeah. And was that through a specific organisation, or just you and a couple of blokes?
It was. Oh, I can't actually remember. It was a while ago. It was when I was at uni. There was. Wild Mob. Wild Mob.
Okay.
Norfolk Island. I did a bit there.
Yeah.
Dealing with a bit of invasive species. You know, taking a few plants out.
Yeah.
Dealing with the ants, poisoning the ants.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Okay, so you know how to poison ants. I got no idea how to do that, but hey, that's a little cool piece of experience. Yeah. Have you ever been bitten by a fire ant?
Yes.
Dead set.
Yes.
What did that do to you? How did you feel?
I got nailed. So I was looking at a tree, as you do with spotter catching.
Yeah.
You do a lot of tree looking at
100% your next.
Yeah, just was standing on a fire ant nest and didn't realise it. And like they crawled up my leg and I was watching, and then these sharp pains just twanged in my leg, and I was like, oh! And then I lifted my jeans up and just flicked them all off, and it was unpleasant.
I would have stripped my pants off.
Yeah.
Run off the site butt naked. No, just with my jocks on. Yeah. So, did you have to get any medical attention for that? Or
No, I kind of just brushed it off.
Right. Okay. Sick.
Who knows? I probably should have maybe like made a report, but I was just like, hey, they're not on me anymore. I'm already stung. Stuff it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. It's true. So it wasn't that too bad of a situation.
Yep.
So you got the fauna spotting here. Where do you want to go from? Fauna spotting.
Well, I'd like to do it for a little bit longer. Maybe do some away work, a bit of fly in, fly out work. I'd love to do some work in the desert. I've done a bit of FIFO before, but it wasn't in the desert of Australia. I'd love to work in the desert. Eventually, I'd like to, maybe move into an ecologist position, a bit more job stability. Mm-hmm. I haven't thought about it too much, but I think
still young enough, sort of. Doing whatever.
Yeah, definitely ecologist or something to do with conservation. Maybe a government role would be ideal. Great. Yeah. Ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. With you love your wildlife. You said you're extremely passionate about it. What are some? Do you like teaching people, showing?
I do,
people?
And meeting new people's nice.
Yeah, yeah. What is? Would you ever want to do a teaching role instead of?
That's a good question.
Instead of just doing.
I've done a bit of that with our company now, and I do enjoy it. You meet new people. Mm-hmm. It's nice to pass on the information you've learned and
work with someone.
And work with someone.
I freaking love not working by myself.
So nice. There's a lot of time alone doing this sort of work, and it's nice to just be able to work with someone. Yeah. So, I think, maybe even a job where I am sort of just teaching spotter catching and only teaching spotter catching would be a really cool thing.
Do you know if something like that exists? I'm not sure.
Well, I know there's
You're going to have to become a professor.
Yeah. I know there's there's a guy called, I think it's Martin Fingal. Mm-hmm. I did a geckos wildlife course with him.
Oh, yeah.
And he teaches a bit of that. I don't know if that's like a side hustle of his or if that's his full-time thing or what. But even maybe a business for anyone who's thinking of getting into it. But I haven't looked into it enough. But that would be interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah. With when you're teaching people, what are some of the maybe what not some, but what is maybe one of the most surprising things that people learn when you're telling them a fact or something that they didn't expect or they didn't see, something obvious but was too obvious to really think about?
Let me think about that. What's something that surprises them?
Yeah.
I think just
or maybe
I do know.
Oh, okay.
But it's a bit dark.
Okay, yeah. Euthanasia?
Yeah, euthanasia.
Okay, yeah.
That's usually a big part of it. I say, look, this is actually part of our job. If you get something so injured that it can't go to a vet and, it's suffering and the vet can't save it, you have to put it out of its misery with blunt force trauma to the head. And quite often they react very strongly to that. And it's not a nice part of the job.
No, that's probably the hardest part for me. And looking up at koalas and feeling stressed out, especially when someone say, "Oh, is there a koala in that?" Freaking hell! I had some
koala anxiety, man. I get it so bad.
That's the thing. Koala anxiety, it hasn't been officially doctored, but it should be
an
official thing because koala anxiety is a thing, right? I was at a job up in North Brisbane, and these guys played a koala prank on me with a. And it was nighttime, and I thought I saw something move in the bush. So it's getting dark. All right, it's on dusk. Can't see very well. I thought I saw something land, and I was like, that wasn't there before. Surely that's a toy. I was there as whatever. These guys that live in the house next to us threw a big teddy bear koala into the pile next to us, and they were like, "Oh, is that a koala?" And I was like, "Frick, no, it's not." I was no way. I literally, it's too big to be a koala. It looks like a koala. It's dusk. What did I do? There was no koalas in the trees. This has been a slow day. I've had time to look, answering all these questions in my head. Go over. I was like, "No, I'm pretty sure it's a thing," and sure enough, it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, then tried to play a prank on me. I was like, "You don't know what it means. You don't know what it means."
Yeah, mate. That would stress me out. Yeah. There's even times where I've been on point just looking all day and I'll be like, yeah, it's fine, you didn't see any, there's definitely none, But then, like, there's even a part of me that, like, when they're pushing everything into a timber pile, I'll walk past that timber pile and I'll still be like,
looking.
I really hope there's nothing in there. Like, yeah. Koala stress, because basically, you know, as you know, with our sort of job, they're probably the most protected animal.
Oh, heck yeah.
You know, and it's just, you don't want to kill one.
No, you don't.
And, yeah. Yep, the anxiety with koalas is a real thing. And dozer clearing and koala habitat is stressful.
Yeah, you did some chain clearing as well down in Greenbank area.
Around Jimboomba,
with Jimboomba with Darcy.
Yep.
I was going to be on that job, and I was like, I'll get to work with people, and I get to do chain clearing, which is something that I've never done before, but I did not end up doing it. But I hear there was a fair bit of wildlife on there.
There was that job. We had an absolute mass load.
Yeah. And Darcy seems to get all the out of the conversations that I've had with our fauna spotters. Darcy has got a fair bit of wildlife. There was twice where we were on a dewatering job as a team, and then there's nothing all day. I end up leaving the next day. The next day, he gets 50 plus turtles, 100 something plus eels, and it's all because they're in this one deep hole in the very bottom. Twice that's happened on both jobs that we've been a part of. Great day the first day. We're just like chilling. We can't go in there. The water's too deep. We're just like having a chat. It was great. Snacking out. And then the next day, that's when the proverbial poop hits the fan. So he's got a fair bit of cool wildlife, because with chain clearing, you've got the people up the front, people on the side,
and then we got a back rummager.
And they seem to find a fair bit of the wildlife, because after everything gets fallen off, that's where stuff's running and stuff. I mean, surprised that stuff survives. Well, maybe not surprised, but it's kind of a good thing. It's a positive thing that stuff still survives, even with chain clearing, which is such a dramatic thing, which, for the listener, if they don't know, which I believe is two diggers, two dozers with a chain in the middle.
Yeah.
And then just...
Yeah, it's pretty menacing. It's, as you said, dozer, big chain. And, you know, we couldn't go through and get the big stuff. We were going through some of the smaller vegetation, but it is very destructive. It's basically just rip through. Everything's going. Although we do stop them for a habitat tree.
100%.
But there's a lot coming out at once, and, like, you know, your terrestrial termite mounds and everything just getting torn up. So
That's when you find the stuff.
That's why you get a back rummager.
Yeah, it sounds like a very fun part of that sounds like the best part to be in. But that would be quite a safety paramount in that sort of situation. Diggers, lots of trees falling, wildlife,
mass safety. And I was usually, like, you know, towards the front, where the dozers are pushing, and, like, you know, you could have dozer, and then spotter each side, and then one at the back. Yeah. But you're not going to see in front because it's so messy. Yeah. And if there's a koala there, you won't see it, and it's gone when it's chaining. So basically, I would go at the front and try and stay as far ahead as I could while watching.
And do you guys do like a team walkthrough for wildlife at the beginning?
Yeah, pretty clear. Yeah. You have to, especially when there's that much coming out.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, Darcy was a very good rummager.
He's good.
I've learnt that. I remember, you know, training Darcy a couple of years ago, and then, you know, seeing his knowledge and passion grow. And one thing I learned about him is he gets right into it. Like, he's looking around. Like, he is really looking. Yeah. So I usually was like, Darcy, jump on the back.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the sort of guy that you need.
Yeah, and jump on the back, mate, because you're gonna be finding stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Well, fauna spotting, fantastic. Teaching, that's something you love doing. How about we jump into the overrated, underrated questions?
Okay.
Ready?
So how does it work? I say overrated or underrated?
Correct. Okay. So the title is overrated or underrated.
Okay.
But then that's the wrong. There's no answers really.
Yeah.
Well, unless there may be your answers. Anyway, overrated, underrated. I'll go through the questions, and then you'll be like, overrated, underrated. You can expand upon if you'd like.
Okay.
Number 1, John. The ability to read animal trails and animal tracks, scat, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's underrated. That's an awesome ability to have. So I don't think it's overrated to be able to look at that at all.
Awesome.
yeah, I think that's quite handy. You know, especially for someone like us, it is. You know, there might be some like, you know, someone who's just not interested in wildlife who'd just be like, why would I want that skill? But for people like me, it's all pretty good.
For people in the job, we need it.
Yeah.
Number 2, forward driving or a forward drive as a sidecar.
Oh, that would be underrated.
Yep.
That would not be overrated.
No, 100%. When I get to the sites, some of these holes are really like deep, and the rivets and ruts from the dozers. I think you have to be pretty healthy as well to be able to walk over that stuff. But a car that's got a bit of lift, right on. So underrated. Good man. Number 3, tree species identification.
Oh, underrated. You need that.
Yep. What would be the main reason would you say that you need that?
Habitat assessments, big thing. You want to look at your eucalyptus trees, like what sort of koala trees are their density, and even just understanding the sort of ecosystem, what you're looking at, what might be there. You know, you can look at tree species and, you know, you can start to think about what other animals might be there because of those species.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Yep, awesome. Yeah. Number 4, overrated, underrated. A bush brownie, otherwise known as a bush poo.
Oh, I've done so many of those.
One job?
Yeah, heaps, man. Like, because there's rarely toilets.
Yeah,
you know?
straight up.
You're out in the bush.
My man.
Yeah, I've done plenty. Have you done a few?
No, I've done none.
Oh, really?
No, I don't. I just don't eat, or they're usually close enough. I haven't been on big enough sites, I don't think, to have that a problem.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I've even learnt like the good leaves to use, man.
Yeah.
Like,
that's where the tree species identification comes in.
Acacias, man, they're real waxy, thick, non-fibrous.
That's the stuff. That's the bee's knees. Okay, I'll keep that in mind for future references.
Yeah, man.
Overrated, underrated. Number 5, being on the good side of machine operators.
Oh, that is underrated. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to, you know, you want to do your job. If they're doing things wrong, you got to pull them up. But, you know, if you be an absolute, you know, pardon my French, but a-hole, you know, they're not going to work with you. They're not going to want to listen to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you've got to pull them up, I usually started off especially just with a bit of decency and not sort of, you know...
work stuff, but just general conversation.
Yeah. And just like, you know, if you pull them up and tell them to do something, you do it in a fairly nice way.
Yep.
You know, obviously things change if they just never listen to you. You know...
Then the intensity of
a bit more sternness comes in, but like, I want to get along with the guys I'm working with. You know, you're working with them, why not get along with them?
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I guess as we close, final question, I guess, is what do you think is a valuable trait to have as a fauna spotter coming into the job?
Oh, I think the key one is passion.
Yeah.
You'll just learn more. You'll be more interested in doing your job well. You'll be more interested in, you know, saving the wildlife, continuously learning. I'd probably say if you want to be a spotter catcher and, you know, really learn and do well at it, I'd say, passion.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Oh, dose of passion it is. Well, John, thank you very much for coming on the podcast, man. No. It's been freaking dope.
Yeah.
And I look forward to all our, hopefully, when we get to work together and I get to see this knowledge in action.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
All good, man.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you would like more information or you would like to just reach out to me on the socials, you can find those details at www.thebigsmall.au. And if you did like this episode, please rate it on whatever platform you listened on. It would greatly help the podcast out, which in turn greatly helps me out. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.